The views and opinions expressed by the host do not state or reflect those of the company and its management. Furthermore, the views, opinions, and insinuations made by the host, guests, do not reflect those of the show, the management, and the network. Magandang gabi, Pilipinas. In a rapidly changing political, economic, and digital landscape, issues that affect governance, public accountability, and national security continue to shape the national conversation. From developments in government and international affairs to emerging concerns in the digital space, these stories highlight challenges that demand careful analysis and informed discussion. Ako po si Ox Balyado. Tonight, we take a closer look at the issues making headlines and what they could mean for the country here on the PH Insider on TV. At para higit nating maunawaan ang mga legal na usapin sa mga issue ng ating pag-uusapan, makakasama pa rin natin ang kapitapitagang abogado ng bayan, Attorney Rizandro Unay.
Magandang gabi. Samahan niyo kami sa isa na namang oras na paghihimay ng mga isyong napapanahon. Ako po si Rizandro Unay.
At para naman tulungan tayong himayin ang mga isyong politikal at matalinong diskurso, veterano po sa larangan ng isyong politikal. Matapang, diretso at matalino sa kanyang mga binibitawang pahayag at pagpapaliwanag. Academician from the University of Santo Tomas and an international relations expert, our resident political analyst, Professor Dr. Dennis Coronacion. Sir.
Magandang gabi. Ako po si Professor Dennis Coronacion na muling sinasamahan sina Sir Ox at Attorney Rizandro upang himayin ang mga nagbabagang issue sa bansa natin.
Ang headline na tinututukan ngayong linggo ng Sambayanan. CICC nagbigay babala sa mga mahilig mangutang. Binalaan ng Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center ang mga mahilig mangutang dahil sa nakaalarmang pagtaas ng online lending scam sa bansa. Sa press conference ng CICC noong Biyernes, February 27, ibinahagi ni Attorney Aboy Paraiso na simula Enero 1 hanggang Pebrero 25 sa taong kasalukuyan nakapagtala sila ng 579 na bilang ng mga reklamo sa online lending scam. Sa kabuuang bilang ng mga ito, 278 ang nabiktima ng online debt harassment, 118 ang mga nahulog sa loan scams, 92 ang nabiktima ng deceptive lending practices. 100 ang mga pinagbabayad ng advance fees ngunit hindi nakuha ang pera at 11 naman ang naloko ng mga hindi rehistradong lending companies. And now we turn to the issues shaping the public commentary. Joining us live is Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center Executive Director, USEC Attorney Renato Aboy Paraiso. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Sir Ox, Professor Dennis, Attorney Una. Magandang sa gabi ho sa lahat ng mga nanonood.
All right, let's get the ball rolling. First things first, Yusek Aboy, the CICC recently reported a surge in online lending scams. How alarming is this trend based on the complaints you have received so far this year?
So it's very alarming for us because it affects really the financial inclusivity of the Filipinos. It affects the trust of Filipinos who are being victimized by these scams, and those who are learning about these scams, they lose trust in our financial institutions. So remember that, the driver of our economy is really public spending, and if public spending and public trust in our financial institutions have waned, it affects yung not only financial inclusivity but really ultimately our economy.
All right. Well, very recently, a vast number of complaints have recently been recorded since January to February. What does the number tell us about the scale of the problem in the Philippines on types of complaints?
So these numbers really don't reflect the true landscape of cybercrime and the victims of online lending applications, because most of the victims really don't report the crime. They feel ashamed, they feel harassed when they complain about these types of online lending scams. So we don't really see the landscape. But when we turn to our public sentiments, our tools to reflect public sentiments, whether it's online or based on the complaints received by the CICC, the PNP, and the NBI, we see a trend that these predators really prey on the working class citizens. What they prey on is the CDE classes. These are the working classes. Ang inuutang na nga lang yung 500 pesos, then they make it so accessible to these people. And then, ang kapalit ho ng 500 pesos na to, papahiyain ka pag hindi ka nakapagbayad. So, it's really alarming for us that these are the types of victims that they're preying upon.
Yusek, may tanong lang po ako. Para lang po sa kaalaman ng ating mga kababayan na nanonood ngayon, ito po bang mga lending apps, paano po ba ito nire-regulate ng ating pamahalaan ngayon?
So they're being regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commissions. Akala ko natin nung una BSP eh. When we delve deeper, pag online lending applications and online lending institutions, they are being regulated by the SEC. So they have to be registered and they have to comply with strict protocols and guidelines. But ultimately, if they don't follow, the penalty, simple penalty, is they just they're being delisted, and after that, yun na, magti-take over na yung mga regular crimes natin. Papasok yung mga estafa dyan, yung mga violation ng several special laws natin when it comes to lending and especially the AFASA, the newly created AFASA law.
Yeah. Yusek, among the complaints that you have received, the highest involved the online debts,
Yep.
harassment. So how exactly do these abusive lending apps harass borrowers?
I think even we don't make a distinction. This particular type of scam, whether it involves both the registered and unregistered online lending applications, this particular scam is being employed by the debt collectors, where they get all your contacts, they contact all your friends, your family, your bosses, let them know na may utang ka sa kanila. They even post your picture online and tell everyone that babala, mangungutang o scammer. So these are the types of harassment you encounter when it comes to these collection agencies, which are being employed by online lending applications.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yung ano lang kasi sinabi nyo kanina yung nagre-regulate dito yung SEC
Yes.
under the Lending Company Regulation Act.
Yep.
So, saan po pumapasok yung CICC? Dito po sa mga regulated o pati na rin yung mga non-registered?
Both, attorney, pag pumasok na sila sa realm ng cybercrime. So pag when they cross the boundaries, halimbawa violation po ng online lending regulations act po natin, whether violation ng Securities and Exchange Code natin, whether it's a violation of the 10175, yung Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, there's a lot of laws now that have penal clauses, criminal clauses.
Yes,
So papasok na dun ho ang CICC when it transgresses into a cybercrime now. It can be both a violation of administrative regulations and a cybercrime as well.
So anyway, paano na lang natin malalaman ng ating mga ordinaryong mamamayan kung alin ba ang dapat i-engage nila ng mga online lending companies para sa kaalaman lang po nila, para na rin sa kanilang proteksyon?
Maganda tanong yan, attorney, no? Ang unang-unang tinitingnan natin dyan is if they're registered with the SEC. Nakalista naman sa SEC yan sa website ng portal ng SEC. Even the CICC right now is making an effort to pin these companies na ito yung mga pwede nyong i-transact with. And second, it's telltale sign. Pag dinala na kayo sa tinatawag natin web-based application or doon lang tayo sa website natin. Kasi may pag ang mga totoo at saka registered at saka legal na online lending applications, meron silang sariling app na available sa App Store, sa Apple Store, na mayroong second layer ng vetting and protection. So even yung mga application stores na yan would have another KYC, another vetting. So may additional layer tayo. So usually, nakikita natin yung mga nangi-scam, yung wala doon sa App Store na yan, sa Google Play Store na yan.
Anyway, iyaman din lamang pinag-uusapan natin ito mga biktima ng itong lending scams. Some victims were actually asked to pay itong mga advance fees, no, but never received the loan.
Yep.
Hindi pa nila natanggap halos. And what warning signs should people look out for to avoid this kind of scam or on victims?
So, una-una ho yan, pag ganyan na ho na nanghihingi na ng pera, umpisa pa lang, bago ka pa mangutang,
Red flag na.
red flag na kagad yan. At
Hindi pwede yung mga advance, ha?
pag hindi binigay, malinaw na estafa na yan, attorney, di ba?
Ayun,
Tapos
ayun.
pag nakita natin, kasi nakikita natin yung criminal structure, it involves more than 5 individuals, yung nag-ooperate ng opisina, yung back-end, yung nagfa-finance, yung nagma-marketing, yung collector. Syndicated estafa na to, attorney, na available na to. So mag-iingat ho kayo, yung mga lalo na yung mga collector na mapang-abuso, sa pag-aaral ho namin at sa ating pag-layout ng criminal organization, you can be charged with syndicated estafa.
Yeah. Yusek, based on the data that were mentioned earlier,
Yep.
yung age bracket ng mga usual victims ay 18 to 29 years old. Relatively young ito, tsaka ito yung mga active, nagtatrabaho talaga. So why do you think that this age bracket, these younger individuals are more vulnerable to these scams?
Magandang tanong yan kasi ang usual misconception is pag tech-savvy ka, hindi ka mabibiktima. But
Yeah.
you see this age group, ito yung mga Gen Alpha na to, prof, mga tech-savvy na to. Pero, because of that, also, they belong to that generation, sila yung mga strong, independent na mga individuals.
And highly exposed to...
Pinipilit nila maging independent when they're clearly not ready. So, ang way out nila or para i-sustain yung lifestyle na yun, mangutang.
Oh,
So,
yeah, tama.
nagiging prey sila dito sa mga predatory online lending applications na to.
Yusek, naging indirect victim ako dito.
Ah.
In a sense na yung nangutang, ginawa akong co-maker by giving to the online company
Yes po.
my number. Ayun, ako na ngayon ang hinaharas at ako na ngayon tinatawagan. Minsan sinasabi sa akin, 5 blocks na lang kami, may warrant of arrest kami sa'yo. Sabi ko, halika dito. So, paano po natin maano yung mga ganong kawawa naman na innocent, na victims, hindi naman sila nangutang, but yet they were made to appear. That is, mga collateral damage sila dito sa scheme na to.
Alam naman natin, attorney, sa ating mga abogado, hindi talaga uubra na magiging co-maker ka without explicit consent and written consent natin. So ito talaga nangaharas lang. Ang hindi nila alam, yung mga numbers na pinatatawag nila sa atin, kaya na nating i-trace yan, kaya na natin malaman yan. Yung mga applications, yung mga accounts na ginagamit nyo para mamahiya ng tao, kaya na rin nating i-trace yan. Yung mga bank accounts na pag sabi nyo dito na lang magbayad because of now of the AFASA law, kaya na rin natin malaman kung sino yung mga nasa likod niyan. So, lumiliit na yung mundo nila, wala na silang pagtataguan. And tuloy-tuloy nyo lang yung practice na yan. Di, pag nasampulan, di sabihin nyo, chamba. Diba?
Minsan kasi itong mga co-maker, sila mismong nabibiktima, nagbabayad na lang sila just to,
Kasi
sila
napipressure dahil
Sila
yung harassment.
pinapressure
At saka siya sabi nila, co-maker ka, hindi naman, even yung mga nangutang, hindi ka talaga ginawang co-maker, talagang ini-involve ka lang talaga para ikaw ang mamilit do sa nangutang na bayaran mo na, bakit mo ako yun? Hindi.
At tuloy, nag-aaway na kayo ng kaibigan mo na nangutang.
Tama to yun.
Sige. Okay, there are reports indicating that 74% of, based on the data, 74% of complainants are women. Do you see a pattern or reason why women appear to be more affected by these lending scams? Bakit kaya?
Well, again, it goes back to the type of generation that we have now because of the age bracket. Again, strong, independent women, di ba? And there's nothing wrong with that. But again, these lending applications are victimizing these particular age group and gender group because of that particular thinking na kailangan nila they have to prove something to themselves, and talagang in the guise of empowering them, they're actually mas binabaon pa nila yung mga individuals na to rather than empowering them. So, talagang they fall and they're susceptible to these online lending applications because there's a need for them to validate themselves. So, again, there's nothing wrong with being strong and independent as long as you keep within your means. Nandun ka lang, di ba? Hindi yung mangungutang ka para lang to keep up appearances or to prove something to others. You don't need to prove anything to any other individual apart from yourself.
Palagay ko kasi yung kababaihan din, sila usually yung nagbabudget sa bahay. So pag medyo kinakapos, yun doon sila tumatakbo.
Okay. Pero again, given the age group kasi, attorney, pwedeng ganun kasi most of our women right now are also working na rin. So sila yung mga breadwinners na rin natin. So again, that's a possibility. But again, maybe of the society, society sets up our women versus men, talagang mas added pressure talaga sa mga babae. Prof, attorney, tsaka boss, no?
Yusek, aside from information dissemination and regulations, what actions does your office take against these illegal lending applications or platforms?
So what we do right now is we collaborate with other agencies. We collaborate with the SEC for regulations. We collaborate with law enforcement partners para mahabol to pag na-identify na natin to. At we collaborate with the social media platforms para tanggalin yung mga accounts na ginagamit nila para pamahiya or para mang-scam ng tao. And we also collaborate with the telcos para we take away the numbers that they're using para makapangalas. So it's a whole of society approach that we're employing, and even with, kasi we know that these online lending applications na located outside the country, especially the financing of it. So we collaborate also with our counterparts outside the countries para naman mapigilan itong mga ganitong practices, illegal practices sa ating bansa.
Last question, Yusek, before we finally let you go.
Okay.
Okay, what should someone do if they are already being harassed or threatened by an online lending company? Napaka-importante nito.
Don't be a victim. Don't be a silent victim for that matter. Karamihan ho sa atin nahihiya. Parang tayo pa yung mali na hinaharas tayo. Tayo pa yung mali na na-scam tayo, no? So, we shouldn't adopt that kind of thinking. Pag ho kayo biktima, magsumbong ho kayo. Kung ina-attempt pa lang kayo maging biktima at alam nyo ibibiktimahin pa lang kayo, magsumbong ho kayo. Para na lang ho, hindi makapambiktima po. Kasi if you're being victimized, it's a big factor, it's a big plus for us na malaman namin kung sino-sino itong mga to, tanggalin natin yung number, i-take down natin yung accounts. Tingnan natin kung makapambiktima pa ng ibang tao yung mga mahirapan na sila.
Alright. Sige, that's about it. Unless you have a few more questions. Okay. Alright, thank you very much, Yusek, for your time. It's truly an honor to have you here in our show.
Yes.
PHS
Thank you po. Thank you po. Thank you for inviting me. And hopefully I'll be here again.
Yeah, we'll invite you.
Salamat po. Salamat.
Thank you, Yusek.
Thank you po.
From concerns in the digital space, we now move to a developing issue in the political arena. A Quezon City representative's remarks involving actress Ann Curtis have sparked public reaction and raised questions about accountability and conduct among public officials. Our panel weighs in when the PH Insider returns.
This Monday, sa pasyal tayo! Tara, let's travel international again. This time naman, sa Medan, Indonesia, kung saan i-explore natin ang tinaguriang Indonesia's Gotham City. And still, why you should visit this place. Kaya, tutok lang dito sa pasyal tayo, every Monday, 1:00 ng hapon, dito lang sa D8 TV Channel 31 sa inyong mga digital at free TV. O ano, tara, pasyal tayo!
The 2025 was a meaningful year for Bingo Plus Foundation. As our purpose grew, it was time for a new chapter. Introducing DigiPlus Foundation.
Education is the bridge to opportunities. Through the Future Smart program, we empower learners and educators nationwide. At DigiPlus Foundation, we multiply learning for a better future.
Healthcare should come with no barriers. Kalusugan Plus delivers medical missions, and Embrace Plus mental health support, which empower every Filipino through compassionate and accessible healthcare. At DigiPlus Foundation, we multiply healing. One patient, one community at a time.
Every dream deserves a chance. In Wish Plus, we grant wishes, empowering individuals, families, and communities together with their partners. At DigiPlus Foundation, we multiply hope, dignity, and possibilities.
Disasters don't wait. Through the Bayanihan Plus program, we mobilize immediate response and recovery efforts. At DigiPlus Foundation, we multiply the spirit of Bayanihan across the nation.
DigiPlus Foundation is committed to delivering on our promise to bring help within everyone's reach. When support becomes accessible, impact doesn't just grow, it multiplies.
The best players succeed because they set boundaries. Every great athlete wins with control. Always have a game plan.
Sometimes in our lives, when things go wrong, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, I do what's right. We know that there's always tomorrow. I give my best. I keep caring. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be
My
your
friend
friend.
from the Philippines.
I'll help you carry on. I am charm. I am the Philippines. Lean on me.
Welcome back to the PH Insider on TV. Sa ikalawang balitang tinututukan ng sambayanan, women's rights advocates nagsampa ng ethics complaint laban kay QC Representative Bong Suntay. Nagsampa ng ethics complaint ang mga women's rights advocates laban kay Quezon City Representative Jesus Manuel Bong Suntay dahil sa kanyang kontrobersyal na pahayag tungkol sa aktres na si Ann Curtis. Pinangunahan ang pagsasampa ng reklamo ng Gabriela Partlist Representative Sara Ilago at dati kinatawan ng grupo na si Liza Maza kasama ang iba't ibang organisasyon ng kababaihan. Umigting ang isyu matapos magbitiw ng paumanhin ang mababata sa kanyang mga pahayag. Kanyang analogy na animong wala namang mali siya. Nagugat ang kontrobersya sa isang House hearing kaugnay ng mga impeachment complaint laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte kung saan nagbigay ng halimbawa si Suntay. Binanggit ng Solon na minsan daw niyang nakita si Ann Curtis sa isang establishmento at inamin na nagkaroon siya ng mga imagination tungkol sa aktres. Sabay giit na hindi naman umano ito maaaring parusahan dahil isip lamang ito. Dahil dito, mariing tinuligsa ng mga grupo ng kababaihan ang pahayag ng mambabatas. Ayon kay Ilago, ang paghingi ng paumanhin ni Suntay ay non-apology na posibleng magnormalisa sa pangaharas sa mga kababaihan. Iginit din niya ang pangangailangan ng mas malakas na reporting system, mandatory gender sensitivity training at mga polisiyang proteksyon para sa mga babae, lalo na sa loob ng Kongreso. Samantala, abangan na lamang kung paano haharapin ng House Ethics Committee ang isyong nagpainit sa politika at social media. Joining us tonight on the line to provide insight and clarity on the issue is Gabriela Partlist Representative Sara Ilago. Good evening and welcome to PH or the PH Insider on TV. Kong.
Hi, good evening to all our viewers and listeners. Magandang gabi ho sa ating lahat at maligayang buwan ng kababaihan.
All right, good evening once again. Kong, what exactly triggered the ethics complaint filed against Quezon City Representative Bong Suntay over his remarks involving Ann Curtis?
In the case of our representation, we were one of those who manifested their support to the question of privilege speech of Representative Ann Matibag, who served as the chair of the Committee on Women and Gender Equality last night. So from there, the majority moved to refer her speech and all our manifestations of support to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges. And the same session also authorized the same committee to schedule a meeting to conduct a thorough assessment on the actuations and statements of Representative Bong Suntay relative, again, to the question of privilege of Representative Ann Matibag. Second, they also required Rep. Suntay to appear in the hearing of the committee. And third, to immediately report to the House of Representatives its findings and recommendations after the scheduled hearing. So, sa ngayon po, we're still waiting for the notice for this particular hearing. But we have news na baka po as early as next week magkaroon na ng meeting tungkol dito dahil magbe-break na ang Kongreso by the 3rd week of March. At magbabalik yan sa Mayo na. Ayan, kaya ho, yun ang pinakahuling development. This is different from the ethics complaint filed earlier today by women's rights advocates. Sa akin pong pagkakaalam, dahil sinamahan ko po sila at sinuportahan po ang kanilang kalayaan naman na mag-file ng ethics complaint, ito po ay mga leader kababaihan ng iba't ibang grupo na ordinaryong mamamayan na sa tingin po namin sa Gabriela Women's Party, sila talaga yung most affected dito. Kasi ang plight naman ng nakararami nating mga kababaihan, yung mataas na presyo ng bilihin, mababang sahod o yung kawalan ng opportunities, lahat ng yan mas napapalala kapag nakakaranas pa po sila ng abuso o diskriminasyon o pambabastos. Ayan, kaya po talagang sinuportahan po namin ang ethics complaint na ito, and we hope that the Committee on Ethics and Privileges will also take their appropriate action on that complaint.
Yeah. Congresswoman, good evening po. This is Dennis Coronacion. From a legislative standpoint, what standards of conduct are expected from members of those House during official hearings? And I'd like also to ask, Congresswoman, yung ba mga sinasabi ng mga colleagues niyo sa House of Representatives, lalo na kung may mga ganyang hearings, are they protected in the same way that the privileged speeches of our lawmakers are also protected?
Yes. Well, first, bago ho kami pumasok sa Kongreso, meron kaming orientation tungkol sa rules ng House of Representatives. At syempre, nandyan din yung Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards sang ayon po sa ating batas. Pagdating naman ho sa protected na speech namin as part of our privilege as a member of the House of Representatives, yes, meron po yung immunity. Kaya nga sa part namin, this isn't just a matter of ipagsunod sa batas at paglabag nito. Pero it's a matter of us, we are expected to somehow model naman at wag naman laban dun sa mga batas na kami rin mismo ang nagbabasa. Halimbawa, ang nagpapasa. Halimbawa na dyan yung Safe Spaces Act o yung Bawal Bastos Law. Sa ilalim ng Bawal Bastos Law, bawal ho ang mga sexist remarks, misogynistic comments, sexual comments sa mga pampublikong espasyo, online man or offline, maski sa streets, sa workplaces, sa mga eskwelahan. Kaya po, kumbaga, inaasahan natin na yung justness and sincerity ng ating mga officials, yung kanilang professionalism pagdating po sa pagtitiyak na nasusunod ang mga batas na ito at nakakatawan din namin kung ano yung mga prinsipyo na ini-embody nito, ay yun po yung expected po sa amin. Kaya nga, marami talagang nadismaya nung ito pa ay nangyari sa isang public hearing at isa pong kongresista ang nagsambit ng mga salitang iyon.
Congressman Ilago, si Attorney Unay po ito.
Yes.
Nag-issue na po ng public apology si Congressman Bong Suntay. Hindi pa po ba sapat yun o sa pagsasampa ninyo ng complaint sa Ethics Committee, ano po ba ang gusto ninyong ma-achieve na mangyari sa kanya? Masuspend o matanggal?
Well, to us, this isn't really something personal. Though sana po, kumbaga marami talagang nakikita din na it's still a non-apology. No? Kasi wala pong full acknowledgement na mali po talaga yung paggamit nung ganong halimbawa. No, pwede mo nang gamitin lahat ng pwedeng example just to share an analogy or an illustration just to make your point. No, pero wag naman po yung nagtatrato sa mga kababaihan bilang object ng imagination or object of desire. No, kasi yan po yung isang bagay na matagal nang nilalabanan ng mga kababaihan For decades, centuries, yung pag-reduce ba sa kababaihan bilang mga katawan lamang na object ng pagnanasa. Matagal na yung nilalabanan At ine-expect po sana natin dahil malayo na yung narating natin, ang dami na nga nating batas tungkol dyan, sana naman hindi na po tayo napupunta sa ganyang usapan.
Yes, ma'am. You think na commensurate yung penalty na pagtatanggal sa kanya dahil lang dito sa kanyang ginawa? Ano po sa palagay ninyo?
Opo. Sa tingin po namin, kasi po nung nag-speech po ako kahapon, binalikan ko rin yung Safe Spaces Act dahil ako po ay isa sa mga co-author niyan nung naisabatas. At sa mga verbal po na mga violations ng Safe Spaces Act, ang first offense po niya nasa 12 hours ng community service, tapos yung requirement ng gender sensitivity training. And then meron din yung mga akmang penalties. No? Kaya po, sa tingin po namin, hindi naman po siguro abot sa pagkakatanggal. Ganyan. Kung may suspension though, siguro malamang 6 to 10 days lang kasi yun lang po yung nasa safe spaces. Yun nga lang po, ang safe spaces po kasi ang covered lang yan, yung mga government employees nasa sa ilalim ng administrative sanctions. Kaya ang isa sa mga amendments sa safe spaces para mapalakas ito, na kasalukuyan ng gumugulong sa Kongreso ay yung pagsasama pag-public officials, yung mga elected at yung mga appointed natin ng mga officials. Dapat meron din namang clear na code of conduct and decorum na hindi exempted dito sa ganitong tipo ng counterculture, yung kontra pambabastos sa kababaihan at sa lahat ng kasarian na nais po natin na mapagtibay. So, sa ngayon po, ang first offense ng verbal, kung safe spaces po, kung sa gravity ang ating pagbabatayan, nasa community service at gender sensitivity training lang po yan.
Kong Sara, please enlighten us on this, just so maunawaan po namin at ang ating mga kababayan in terms of yung gravity ng isang ethics complaint. How serious is an ethics complaint in the House of Representatives? And what possible actions can the Ethics Committee take?
Well, hindi ko naman po papangunahan yung Committee on Ethics and Privileges, pero ito po kasi yung pwedeng takbuhan ng ating mga kababayan, pribado man o miyembro man ng House, pag nakita po nila na may violation halimbawa dun sa Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards na expected sa ating mga public officials. Ngayon, may due process naman din po yan sa loob ng committee. Magkakaroon din naman ng pagtawag. Halimbawa, kung sa amin po, nag-expect po kami na makakatanggap kami ng invitation kung sakaling magpatawag man ng hearing ng Committee on Ethics next week. Ganon din po sa ating na-invite din po si Representative Suntay dapat dyan sa hearing na yan. At magkakaroon naman po ng chance na makapagpalitan po ng mga pagtingin sa issue na ito. And to us, hindi lang po, this really goes beyond Representative Suntay kasi we really want Congress and other government institutions po natin to really be a place that is truly free from any form of abuse, discrimination, and violence. Kaya po, sana magkaroon ng provision sa House Rules, sa Rules of the House of Representatives, as well as malinaw po na pamantayan sa conduct. Yung Code of Conduct kasi sa House more on sa mas nag-a-apply sa aming empleyado, mga personnel, mga staff. Pero what about if cases involve House members? So, yun po yung hinahangad namin na masagot ng Committee on Ethics and Privileges.
Maganda na banggit yun, yung less pala doon sa mga kongresista, yung ethics more doon pa sa mga empleyado.
I think
But yeah, okay.
right now they're covered by the Safe Spaces Act. Sabi nga ni Congresswoman, limited sa mga government employees, government personnel. But Congresswoman, your group, Gabriela, and other women's groups describe the apology as a non-apology. So, what does this indicate about the public perception of the issue?
Yes, sa totoo lang, di lang po kami yung yung kumbaga, nagkaroon ng pag-alma doon sa apology na may ifs and buts pa. At yung pagtatanggol na tama naman yung analogy. Sabihin na po natin na tama kung sa usapin ng legal, pero masasabi ba natin na ito ay magandang halimbawa na dapat tularan sa isang pampubliko na hearing, kung meron pong isang kapwa babae na nakakaapekto sa karanasan ng mas marami pang mga babae sa buong bansa. Sa tingin po natin, ay di na po dapat talaga yan ipagpilitan at ipagtanggol. Pangalawa, ang malinaw siguro po sa amin na mga women's rights advocate, yung fight talaga against abuse, sexism, and yung objectification of women, it really goes beyond legal and policy issues and matter. Nasa kultura po talaga ito yung kung paano natin sama-samang at pagtulong-tulungan na labanan ang mga remarks na mas maliit ang tingin o mas na walang respeto po, hindi lang sa kababaihan, kundi sa bawat mga Pilipino po na hindi dapat nakakaranas ng kahit anong forma ng pambabastos. Kaya po, nasa kultura, nasa sistema. Kaya siguro po tayo may Women's Month, Hindi lang sana reminder, pero in practice, makita po natin sana mas bumuti po ang kalagayan para sa lahat.
Congressman Sara Ilago, I'm sorry I have to ask you this question. Marami po kasi nagsasabi na despite na nag-apology na si Congressman Bong Suntay, ay ayaw nyo pa rin po tanggapin ng mga grupo na Gabriela o kaya ng mga kababaihan na nire-represent ninyo o kaya ng ibang grupo. Dahil daw po sa nag-iisa siyang bumoto laban sa resolusyon doon sa impeachment proceedings kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Ano pong reaksyon nyo dyan?
Wala pong kinalaman yung yung pag-call out natin at pag-challenge natin sa mga sexist at misogynistic remarks doon sa kanyang tindig sa impeachment proceedings. Kasi kahit ikaw man ay sumusuporta o hindi sumusuporta sa impeachment proceedings o sa iba pang mga posisyon po sa politika, ay dapat wala pong exemption. Dapat naman talagang we name what the remark is, is that sexism, is that machismo o kaya misogynistic. We have to name it, we have to call it out, so we have to challenge it. Kasi lalo na sa amin na dapat mas mabigat yung responsibility kasi mga kongresista kami, lahat ng words namin kaya nga protected yung aming salita kasi may tiwala yung taong bayan na gagamitin namin yung boses namin so yung bawat salita namin ng may responsibilidad. Kaya po wala po itong kinalaman at sa tingin naman po natin as a Committee on Justice magpapatuloy naman po yung patas na pagsumik pagdating po sa mga verified impeachment complaint sa paggulong po nito at tungo dun sa next level ng determination ng probable cause.
Congresswoman, does this incident highlight a deeper problem regarding gender sensitivity and respect toward women in a political discourse?
Indeed, no? That's why we're batting for a mandatory gender sensitivity training for all House members, as well as continuing education on the situation of women in political and public life. Kasi sa totoo lang ho, wala namang iisang muka ang mga naaabuso, wala din pong iisang muka yung mga perpetrators ng violence against women. So, kaya dapat tuloy-tuloy po yung pagbibigay ng information, pag-release ng awareness, lalong-lalo na po ngayon, nag-evolve din yung types ng gender-based violence with the use of technology, paggamit ng AI, deepfakes, at marami pa pong iba. So, again, ito po yung isa sa lagi sinasabi ng mga women's rights and equality advocates na malayo na pero malayo pa. Okay? Dahil ito po ay magre-require ng pagbabago, hindi ng kultura, kundi din ng sistema. How do we really empower women economically? No? Kasi yan po ang isa sa mga dahilan kung bakit mas marami ang naabuso. Kapag matindi ang kahirapan o matindi ang gutom, mas tumataas po yung kaso ng violence against women. Kaya magkakadugtong po yan yung paglaban sa opportunity sa trabaho, sa kabuhayan, sa entrepreneurship, at marami pa pong iba na maaaring mag-angat pa no, sa buhay, hindi lang nakababaihan, kundi ng bawat isang Pilipino na nangangailangan.
Congresswoman, what message does this controversy send about respect for women in leadership and public spaces?
Well, to me po, the fight is not yet over. Diba? The struggle for true empowerment and emancipation of women in all spaces of participation and engagement continues. Tuloy lang po no, yung ating pagtitiyak na yung mga napanalo nating batas, mapapatupad, may implementation, may sapat na pondo, at nandito lang po ang inyong mga sisters, brothers, and all genders. Kumbaga, sa lahat po ng nakikinig na nakakaranas pa rin ng iba't ibang forma ng mga abuso sa tahanan man yan, sa workplace, online or offline, hindi po kayo nag-iisa. At marami pong handang makinig at makatulong sa inyo. Maski naman po sa ating pamahalaan, di ba, ang proactive na rin po ng approach pagdating sa mainstreaming ng gender and development. Pero, yun nga, we really have to stay vigilant. So, hindi po porket na ipasa ng batas, nandiyan ang programa, ay hindi na po natin babantayan.
Well, moving forward, Congresswoman, what reforms or safeguards should be put in place to ensure that respect, professionalism, and gender sensitivity are upheld in government institutions?
Well, hindi ko na po lalahatin. Just for Congress, no, as I said, we're pushing for a mandatory gender sensitivity as well as anti-sexual harassment training for all members of the House and our staff, with concrete protocols for reporting, investigation, as well as sanctions. We must also strengthen and fully implement a safe workplace policy within Congress. And hopefully po, this goes beyond the court of Batasang Pambansa. So if we can extend these efforts to our district offices or our party list offices, kung saan man po tayo ay ma-share din natin ang mga good practices and policies. When it comes to legislation, number one po namin dyan is to strengthen protection against harassment and discrimination, to include technology-facilitated violence against women, as well as other measures on economic empowerment of women. So pagdating po sa job creation, livelihood, decent wages, no, yan lang po yung ilan. And then overall po siguro, sa tingin namin, kadikit din po ng paglaban para sa may quality na social services, yung paglaban sa korupsyon. No? Kasi ang dami pong, kumbaga, nananakaw na opportunities at services sa mga kababaihan at ating mga pamilya kung napupunta lang pala sa mga ghost projects. Ayan, kaya po, ayan po ang mga laban ng kababaihan ngayong National Women's Month.
All right. Thank you for your time, Congresswoman Sara Ilago. We appreciate it. And thank you for joining us in the show tonight.
Alright, maraming salamat po at magandang gabi sa lahat.
That's Representative Sara Ilago of Gabriela Party List.
Yeah.
Nakakatuwang kausap. Moving forward, ang kababaihan, apektado din, siyempre.
Yes.
Itong very controversial at controversial na remarks
gusto ko lang,
ni Kong Bong Suntay.
Yeah.
Sige nga, pag-usapan natin ito. Okay.
May paliwanag ng konti na yung legislative immunity doon sa sinabi ni Congressman Bong Suntay ay immunity yung laban sa kanya sa mga kaso mula sa labas ng Kongreso. So yung mga criminal o civil liabilities out of his utterances there, immune siya doon. Kaya naman pumasok yung Gabriela at saka itong ibang mga women's group sa Ethics Committee dahil doon pwede siya. Yung hindi siya immune doon sa loob ng...
Yeah. Yung attorney, yung kapwa niya, mga mambabatas,
Sa
magpa-file.
ethical standards naman siya malalagay.
Pero alam mo, attorney, no, I came across a media report quoting Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte. Na ang sinasabi na when Congressman Suntay was still a councilor and then he was, I think, he was the majority leader yung nung konseho ng City Council ng Quezon City. He was one of the co-authors of this ordinance whose aim is to protect yung mga vulnerable sectors including women. So sabi niya parang ang ini-imply niya doon is this is very ironic. Diba? From someone who was pushing for the protection of women, at least at the LGU level, biglang nagbigay siya ng ganitong mga pananalita. No?
Eto, personal na mga pananaw natin doon. Anong tingin mo? Talagang intentional yun? Na gano'n ba pinakakahulugan?
Walang
opinion lang naman natin to. Napag-uusapan lang din naman.
Kasi inulit-ulit ko yung video towards the end hanggang doon sa idinugtong niya yung issue na yon. Hindi ko makonect kung saan yun relevant doon sa previous na mga statements niya. Advocating against doon sa resolution na mayroong sufficiency in form of substance. Yung impeachment complaint kay Vice President Sara. Bigla na lang, ang tingin ko, bigla na lang pumasok yun. Para sa akin, off-tangent masyado. Parang ano yun. Pilit kong iniisip at binabalikan, saan yun? Saan yung sinasabi niya after nung, by the way, yung speech niya sa labas, hindi na covered yun ng immunity niya, yung mga press con niya. Ang sinasabi niya, justification is because, ano daw yun, parang comparison doon sa sinabi niya, which is, I don't know, siguro hindi ko makita yun.
Actually, I think, attorney, no, kung babalikan natin yung kanyang remarks, parang he was trying to establish the connection between dun sa yung video recording ni Vice President Sara Duterte na kung saan pinagbabantaan niya yung first couple at saka si former House Speaker Romualdez.
Yes.
Ang contention doon ni Congressman Suntay is that nasa realm of imagination pa lang. So hindi pa siya krimen. Hindi pa nangyayari.
Of course.
Na inihalin tulad niya doon sa imagination niya daw, hypothetical na I don't know kung hypothetical yun o totoo.
Oo, na-experience niya talaga.
Oo. Na pag nakita niya si Ann Curtis, may na-imagine din siya pero hindi daw niya ginawa. So siguro sabihin na natin na benefit of the doubt na lang para kay Congressman Suntay. Baka he was siguro at that time struggling to look for an example to prove his point. Tapos yun ang unang-una niyang naisip, kaya yun ang nabitawan niyang example. Ang sama nung analogy nga lang.
Dami ba namang example yun pag naisip niya bigla.
Kaya nga.
May mga nagko-comment na from the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks. May mga pag-ganun-ganun pa yung iba.
Pwede kaya masabing to parang slip of the tongue?
Yes, pwede rin.
Pero ibig sabihin, ganun ka-effective talaga yung, ganun ka-popular din si Ann Curtis. Para sumagi din kaagad sa isipan ng kahit sino.
Kaya nga.
Especially sa mga ganung klaseng usapin. Medyo seryoso eh. Pero, giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Pero parang
siguro,
na ano siya, it took him a while para ma-realize yun. Kasi nag-insist pa siya eh. Pwede naman niya sabihin na, I withdraw. Tapos na.
Alright.
Di ba? Pero nag-insist pa siya eh. So, parang doon mas
Which
lalong
invited more,
na agitate
more
yung
discussion. Okay. Public discourse reflects the values of a society. When institutions meant to protect the public are tested, whether by cybercrime targeting vulnerable Filipinos or by words spoken in the halls of power, it reminds us that accountability and responsibility must always go hand in hand. Technology continues to transform our lives, but it also exposes new risks, from predatory online schemes to the rapid spread of information and misinformation. At the same time, leadership in public office carries a higher standard, one that demands respect, integrity, and sensitivity, especially when issues of dignity and equality are at stake. These challenges remind us that governance is not only about policies and laws. It is also about trust, yet trust, once shaken, can only be restored through transparency, responsibility, and a commitment to do better. Magandang gabi, ako po si Ox Balyado. With, of course, the veteran political analyst Dr. Dennis Coronacion and Attorney Rizandro Unay.
Well, salamat po sa muli ninyo pagsama sa amin sa talakayan nito. No, sana may natutunan kayo.
Maraming salamat, magandang gabi, hanggang sa muli. Ako po si Attorney Rizandro Unay.
Hanggang sa muli nating paghihimay-himay ng mga balitang may pakialam ka. This is the program where we cut through the noise, confront the gaps, and demand the answers the nation deserves. This is the PH Insider on TV.